Hi everyone, so today I'm doing a side-by-side review on the new The Ordinary Colors foundation. I have two shades in the new Serum Foundation as well as another two shades in the Coverage Foundation. So this is assuming to be a little bit more high coverage compared to the Serum one. But basically you guys know my preference is generally something really lightweight with sufficient coverage while looking like really skin light. So for those of you contemplating whether you want to get this, and I mean the price point is actually really affordable, but that being said, if you're not too sure between the two whether or not the claims of it being high coverage, really lightweight is true, and whether or not you should just settle for the serum. So yeah, without further rambling, let's just get into it. Okay, so I think for starters I am going to show you the consistency of the Serum Foundation first. I'm thinking today I'll do a mix of the two shades, so I'll just do a single pump of each, but I'll just show you 1.2Y first. The cool thing about these bottles, even though it's so lightweight and actually feels a little bit cheap, but it is really affordable, you can actually twist the nozzle to lock it so that if you bring this for travel, it won't dispense all over your bag. You can lock the cap. So I just unlocked it. So as you can see, it's already running down the back of my hand really quickly, and it's super watery, and I'm looking forward to see how this translates on the skin. I'm just gonna quickly blend it out closely for you. As you can tell, it's a very sheer wash of color. We'll see how this translates on the skin. This is with one light layer, and I just wanted to show you guys the coverage it gives, and to me actually this is super amazing. Oh my goodness, I really love it. I actually mixed the two shade 2.0N and 1.2Y, one pump each, and I didn't complete using the whole thing on half my face. About I would say the usage is about one pump, so you can go a little bit sparingly with this, but it blends out really beautifully, and it really still looks like my skin. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but it did well in covering several of my spots. I think it's about a medium coverage, but it's kind of that optical illusion in a way that it blurs out the imperfections but doesn't fully cover it. So you guys know my whole thing about the Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum. I really like that. I love the L'Oreal True Match, those kind of liquid consistency. Those are actually performing a lot more like foundations because you can feel the coverage, you can see the coverage, but this is super weird. It's like I can barely feel it on my skin and I can barely see it as well, but I feel like my skin has been neutralized of a lot of problematic areas, but it still feels as though it's like a skincare item that I'm putting on my face. So that's really incredible. It does give off like this really natural shine. I wouldn't call it dewy because it isn't wet or anything like that. It also doesn't really feel that wet. It actually feels quite like sunscreen that has set significantly, so it's really beautiful. I'm just going to try to add coverage on certain areas like here. You can see it builds up coverage also really well, and it, once you let the first layer set, the second layer that goes on actually adds on coverage and it doesn't just blend together. So that's something that I'm really loving. So with this being quite, a medium coverage already, I'm wondering how much the Coverage Foundation actually has in terms of its claims and that kind of thing. But the serum side is definitely a winner at this point. I'm just going to go over to the Coverage Foundation just to show you guys how much different it actually is. Similarly, it comes with that same kind of pumping system. Just unlocking it, I'm going to show you the shade 1.2N. Okay, so really obviously we can see that this is not as runny as the previous one, and I'm surprised because both packaging really look like, I mean, they are completely identical, and you would think like it's a gimmick. Why do they need to release two foundations and that kind of thing? But this skincare brand, if you guys know anything about it, it's pretty top-notch, and the laboratory that kind of creates these formulations know what they're doing. They are made out of scientists and not just, you know, makeup lovers and that kind of thing. So you can see it's super thick in consistency, and yeah, it's not running down that quickly. I'll just blend out a little bit for you. Visibly, we see that it's a lot more pigmented and it has a lot more form to it. So yeah, let's try it on the face. Okay, so as you can see here, it is amazing. Oh my goodness, both sides are really, I mean, they kind of look the same, but they are really different. Okay, so right off the bat, I can tell that the high coverage foundation's finish, I'll give it a while to set and kind of reevaluate again, but I can tell that the coverage foundation's finish is a little bit more shiny, but it's not like super dewy as well. As I'm giving it time to set, it is still wet, you know, it's still tacky, but it feels a little bit more, I wouldn't like to use the word oily, but it actually feels a little bit more oily in that sense, but it's still really beautiful on the skin, and because of that kind of oily factor, it blends over the skin really well, and it's not like your typical matte kind of foundation, which is like at times can be really drying. This feels really moisturizing on the skin, and it's perfect for any skin type that typically gets dehydrated. The dehydrated factor is something that people confuse with dry skin types, because if you are dry skin types, you are quite indefinitely dry, but if you're dehydrated as an oily skin girl, you can still appear looking dry, but you do still have the same kind of skin type being oily. You produce oil, you know, your T-zone looks really oily, and the oil production in your pores typically are enlarged. But that being the case, a lot of the time I find myself having a lot of dry flakes, and today is one of those days. And yeah, my whole face here basically doesn't even have a trace of a dry patch, and it's super beautiful. This, quite noticeably, I used a lot less product with this, but it does have a lot higher coverage. It's almost like a medium. It's right off the bat actually quite full coverage, to be honest, but as you can see here, I do have discolorations and acne scars that are a bit greyish in undertone, so that I do need to use a concealer or a color corrector, but the foundation itself actually perfected my skin, and it looks really beautiful. As I'm giving it time to set, as I'm talking, it's still tacky. As compared to the serum side, it actually sets and feels a lot more like my skin. On the coverage side, I actually feel as though I can feel the product on my skin, if that makes sense, and it's like, you know, I'll be wary to touch my skin because it's not mattifying by any means, so it will transfer because it is a little bit more kind of slippy in texture and in finish. But the serum one, I like basically can't even feel it on my skin, and it feels super skin-like, but obviously if you rub it really hard, it will transfer. But the serum side really absorbed into the skin so quickly while still looking super natural, and you can see that shine on my skin. It's like the natural shine that, you know, my skin would give even without any foundation. So it's super natural, you can't even tell it's there. Coverage side surprisingly has a bit more shine, a bit more coverage, and it's just really a different take on a full coverage foundation. I feel like both these products play into my favorite zone, my holy grail zone, just because, you know, on times where my skin is really misbehaving, I can foresee myself using the coverage foundation a lot more just to cover up those bigger cystic acne that comes about during the hormonal cycle. But on days where, you know, I just really do not want to feel like I'm wearing anything but still have a good amount of coverage, I will go for the serum one. It's a no-brainer. I'll take you in a little bit closer so you can see. Alright, and that's how all my makeup looks like. I basically did use a cream contour. I did not set my whole face with powder, but I did use powder on top of the foundation, and powder blends beautifully on it. Like, seriously, can any of these two products get it wrong? They are just basically super good. I heard a lot of things about it coming into this review, and basically I really somehow in my heart wanted to debunk all the good things that people were saying. They were like saying it's the best foundation ever, it's really good, you know, you never need to buy another foundation again. And I was like, you know, nothing can be that perfect, even if it's, you know, like the most expensive or the cheapest kind of thing. It really doesn't suit everyone, but I have to admit that on my skin type, it's literally perfection. I would have to say that I like the serum one over the full coverage, even though it does have lesser coverage. But you guys know me and my serum textures. I just love my skin looking like naturally really perfected, and for people to wonder if, you know, I do have makeup on or don't have makeup on, I think that's always the fun part of wearing makeup. But yeah, both sides look incredible, and the coverage one, it is still a little bit tacky, but having given it enough time to kind of settle, I still find it to be a little bit more emollient than the serum one. It is not transfer proof. I can still, like, the moment I press on it, it's already lifted, so it is really not the best in terms of, you know, setting. Overall, I think that if you guys are unsure of your color match for these foundations, Wayne Goss actually did a video on it. I will copy and paste his kind of color chart and also give you reference to his video so you guys can see in terms of, you know, like MAC foundations. If you are something like me, I'm an NC 20 to 25, I then picked up these two shades that were the similar kind of shade family to MAC foundations, and it makes things a lot more easy. So yeah, do check out all the information I have below, and I have not much else to add. If you guys want to know my prolonged thoughts in terms of how this helped my skin in terms of skincare or anything like that, do check out my description box as well, where I will put hourly marks of how this foundation performed on my skin throughout the day as well as over the course of the week. So yeah, I have nothing else to mention at this point. If you guys enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with your family and friends. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so that you guys can stay up to date about my latest uploads. And yeah, not much else to add. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!